Hi, welcome to the Commissioner's Report. I'm your host, Jeff Foley, and I'm joined today by Commissioner Rick Wilson and Bartow City Manager Mike Herr. Thank you for joining me, gentlemen.
Good to be here.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Appreciate it. Commissioner Wilson, I understand your time in Bartow goes back quite a ways. Can you tell me a little bit about growing up in Bartow and what it's like to you now?
Oh boy, I don't know if we have enough time. But yeah, born and raised right here in Bartow. Went to school here. I mean, this is my home. And I think back in when I was young and real young in school, what the difference is then and now. And of course, I look at it sometimes. I wish it was back that way, but this is great the way Bartow is. It's grown. It's had its challenges growing because at a certain point in time, Bartow really couldn't grow with the phosphate mines, cattle, citrus, but it has changed a lot, and it's all for good. It really is.
And Mike, we'll start at the beginning for you. I think obviously those of us that work in government know to some degree what a city manager does, but maybe explain your role as a city manager of Bartow for the folks that don't know.
Oh gosh, that is really a difficult question to answer, but I'll do my best. Think of the city manager as kind of the CEO of a business, and the city commission or the county commission where Rick serves is like the board of directors. And so the role of the city manager is to lead the organization and to carry out the priorities that are adopted in the budget by the city commission or the county commission. Now, that's a very simplistic statement, but daily you are addressing priorities. Daily you're addressing the concerns of citizens. Daily you're making sure that your citizens are well served, day in and day out. And so that's really the role of the city manager, to make sure that you do the things that the commission says they want done, and to be very attentive to what citizens are saying to you about their expectations and what they see as being the priorities of their particular community.
And I know you were a county manager from 2003 to 2010, I believe, so for about 7 years?
That's correct.
What else have you done during your lifetime that has prepared you for this role? How did you end up here?
Well, I started out working as the town manager of Newburgh, Indiana, and that is a community about 3,000 people. We ultimately served about 15,000 people outside the city. It was a bedroom community to Evansville, Indiana, and it was right along the banks of the Ohio River. And so I started my career there, and then my wife and I are both from Southern Indiana, but we wanted to come to a state. If I was going to stay in the public sector, I wanted to be in a state where the council manager form of government was recognized. Indiana, at that point in time, only recognized the town manager form of government in smaller communities of 3,000 to about 10,000 or so. Primarily, Indiana is a strong mayor structure state, and so the mayor is the elected by the people CEO. So there's a much different concept there. But that's where I started from, and then I took my first job into Florida, being the town manager of Dundee. So I was there for about 5.5 years. I think we left the community in a better place than how we found it, and I moved to Hernando County to be Public Works Director there in county government, and then was promoted to Deputy County Administrator. And then I came back to Polk by virtue of being the Public Works Director for the City of Lakeland, working for Gene Strickland for 6 years. Saw Mr. Keene, who was the county manager at the time of the Y, and he said, Mike, he said, you might want to give us a look. I'm looking for a transportation director. So I applied, and luckily I got hired. And then fortunately, I had one of the best opportunities I've ever earned in life, to be county manager of Polk County government, and then went to the private sector, and then started working for the mayor of Tampa, Mayor Buckhorn, for a couple of years, and then transitioned to Plant City to be city manager there for 3 years, most recently Winter Haven for about 6, and then wanted to come to Bartow because I felt like I'd come to Winter Haven, did everything I had committed to accomplishing for the city commission and the citizens, left the organization, I think, in a good place. We had a good team there. My deputy was promoted to city manager, which is what I was hoping for. And the Bartow is not new to me because obviously working here for 13 years, but Bartow is new to me because the being city manager is a lot different than working in county government, being in Bartow. And so getting to know Bartow, just finished my first year, and I'm pleased to say that my wife and I are residents of Bartow now. And so they'll probably see me out doing a lot of walking in the evenings and on the weekends and that sort of thing. It's a great way to get in tune with what's happening in neighborhoods. You get a lot closer look at the infrastructure and different issues in neighborhoods than you do if you're driving. So it's good to be here. And I appreciate Commissioner Wilson inviting me here today, and I appreciate his commitment to public service as well.
So, Mike, you've been on board for about a year in Bartow. What are some of the immediate goals? What are some of the things that you want to make happen?
Well, I think that the most important thing when we talk about a city manager is that we don't use the word I, because if we use the word our or we or team. Right now, we really are transitioning in the sense that our longstanding HR director, Dee Gibson, just retired, and so we have named a new HR director who came to us from the city of Fort Meade, Cherie Kirscher, and so she'll be beginning her journey with us. We have a new building official in Brian Wells. Donnie True retired in January. We just brought on board a new codes division manager, Trey Tolles. He and his mother own Unfiltered here in Bartow. More importantly, though, I had the opportunity to work with Trey. He headed up the codes division in Plant City, where I was city manager. And looking for talent, one of the things we've got to focus on, we've got to do a better job of, is working to keep our neighborhoods cleaner and safer. There is a lot of litter all around the city, and so that's a national problem. It's not just a local problem, and so and I don't want that to sound trite, because the property owners that own the shopping centers, for example, they can do a better job of policing those parking lots. I've walked those parking lots, and I can tell you that they don't look like they've been resurfaced in 15 years. And that's not the way to keep your city bright. You got to paint, you got to freshen up, you got to keep our city clean. We're the county seat. And so along with being the county seat, that's not something that we can take for granted. Every day I want to go into the office and say that we've earned the opportunity to be here. We've earned it. And so in order to earn it, you got to keep demonstrating excellence and commitment. You know, it's one thing to say that we love Bartow, but in order to love Bartow, you got to care about Bartow. And keeping it cleaner is something that I think is very important. And before I forget, I want to compliment the County Commission. I've always been a big fan of the historic courthouse, but I can tell you right now, what the county has done to keep that building looking the way it is, it's my favorite. It's one of my favorite buildings. It's beautiful. Murtis Young has done an exceptional job, and the County Commission has done an exceptional job. It is a focal point in our downtown. It's a great example of placemaking.
I think it's got great preservation and presentation of our history.
It does.
Yeah.
It really does. So what are we doing in Bartow? Economic development is really important. When I came here, and I just say I to be grammatically correct, the Bartow EDC, we had a part-time director who was very, very dedicated. But my first visit, I said, you know, I don't think a part-time economic development director is going to cut it, because we've got to create jobs. We've got to create jobs. We've got to expand our tax base, because you can't tax your way into prosperity. And so creating more jobs, bringing more industry here that our community can support is something that's paramount. That's the role of the Bartow EDC. And I'm pleased to say that our City Commission committed to $125,000 a year to be able to be a partner to help fund the Bartow EDC, to be able to hire a full-time director, and let's get going with marketing Bartow. And so I think economic development is really important. Cleaner and safer neighborhoods is really important. And we're revamping our police department to where our chief we're getting involved more in community policing, where the officers will be more visible in neighborhoods. We're going to take more of a neighborhood approach. And along with the chief being vocal in the community, we want the officers having neighborhood meetings, communicating with residents, and helping to protect our citizens even more than they're doing today, but really on a more personable level. I'm proud of our police department. In the electric department, we have a retirement coming up from Brad Ayers, who served this city for 46 years. So the electric department is a key department. In our utilities, Tony McKinley is our utilities director. We've got a really good team heading up water and wastewater. Our public works director is retiring. So right now I have 18 direct reports, and so it's kind of a jigsaw puzzle. And I'm trying to figure out a better way to organize the organization. I don't know what that's going to look like yet. Maybe there's a merger between public works and utilities, and I think the one thing that's probably helped that is our investment in cartograph, asset management technology. So it'll help flatten the organization as opposed to keeping it in a hierarchy.
It sounds like a strong approach. I will say, as somebody who moved about a year ago from another part of Florida to Bartow, very much appreciate being here and appreciate the access to services, the cleanliness of the city that I've seen, again, compared to where I've come from. Commissioner Wilson, why don't we wrap up, if you don't mind, as a lifelong resident of Bartow, tell me a little bit about what people who are not from here should know about. What are you proud of when it comes to Bartow?
You'd have to say the people. I mean, this is a great town. You know, the history here is long. Like I said, when you live here as long as I have, there's some great people that's, you know, been involved in Bartow, that's helped promote Bartow, help, you know, the economic development here, businesses. You know, that's a big thing. You know, it's just like Mike said about, you know, it's the county, but the history center. I mean, that's part of Bartow. I mean, that courthouse has been there. We're the county seat. You know, we're heavily agricultural related in Polk County. I mean, it's just, this is a good town to live in. And, you know, as everything, you know, this county is changing though. You know, this county is the fastest growing county in the state. You know, the numbers that we had is there's 90 people a day moving here to Polk County. And there's a lot of them moving to Bartow. They're moving all over. So, you know, Mike and his team are doing a heck of a job. You know, we all are trying to keep up and trying to make this a good city like as Bartow and a better county. So, I mean, it's just good people, and that's what makes it work, and that's why I like living here. It is great.
Well, gentlemen, I appreciate the conversation. Mike, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you check us out again. I'm your host, Jeff Foley, and this is the Commissioner's Report. Thank you for watching. Please make sure to subscribe and like our social media.